It's April 3rd and you can officially apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, the long-awaited, the infinitely changed program, and I completed my application process this morning, submitted all my documents, and I want to make this video to describe everything you need to do in order to apply for this program and get funding as soon as possible. So I'm going to first go over a couple updates with the Paycheck Protection Program, then I'm going to cover all the documents you need in order to apply for this program, and then I'm going to go over the new application form that they submitted. It's different than the one that was submitted 2 days ago. There's some other questions that are asked and some nuances there, so I'm going to go over that form again as well. Again, things are just constantly changing here, so this is the most up-to-date information I have. Things might be slightly different next week, so make sure you subscribe to stay updated because I'm just trying to get the most accurate, up-to-date information every single day on this. And let's dive right in. So as far as the updates from the last video that I created, they changed the interest rate. In the past, the program terms were a 10-year term with no higher than a 4% interest rate. And then the next day they changed that to a half 0.5% interest rate, and literally the day after that they changed it to a 1% interest rate with a 2-year term. So that's the official term as of the start date of this program, so I don't think that's going to change, but that's the most up-to-date information there. They clarified what the forgivable portion can be on this. 75% of the forgivable amount has to go towards payroll. So that only leaves 25% for things like your rent, or mortgage payments, utility payments, other qualified expenses. So that may mean that the total forgivable amount is lower for your business. I actually did some calculations on my business and my payroll percentage came out exactly to 75%. So it didn't really change anything on my calculation. If you want to know exactly what your potential forgivable amount is, I'll leave a link to a loan calculator forgivable amount in the description below. It was really helpful for me to be able to see exactly what the potential amount is that I can receive. And that'll be in the description below. And let's get right into what you need exactly to submit in order to get this loan processed and money in your account as soon as possible. So the first thing that you'll be required to submit is a 941 form for every quarter of 2019. If you don't know what that is, that's the form that details how much payroll there was each quarter for your business in the last year. If you do your own payroll, you'll know exactly what that is because you'll have to submit it yourself. If you have an accountant do your payroll, you can request these forms from them because every accountant or whoever's doing payroll needs to submit these. Or if you use a PEO, which is a company who does the payroll for you, then they'll have those forms as well. I use a PEO, so I just requested my 941 forms and they knew exactly what it was for, sent them over immediately. They should have that readily available and should be able to send it to you right away, pending that they're not getting a million requests for these right now. So there may be some delay there. There is a hurry with this because there's limited funds in this program. So watch this video and apply as soon as possible. You'll also need a copy of your 2019 complete payroll report. This you can also receive either from your accountant or PEO, or if you use QuickBooks, you'll be able to get a report that's your complete payroll report because you need to know what your gross payroll amount is. That's the total amount that went to paying your payroll. That's not just the after-tax amount. So it's a really important figure because this is what determines your total loan amount, because you'll have to take that number and divide it by 12 to get the monthly average payroll and then multiply that by 2.5 in order to get your total loan amount. So that's really important. Every single lender is going to require that. And that's another thing, like I said, that you'll be able to request from your accountant or PEO or download from QuickBooks, however you do your payroll. The next thing that you'll need is a copy of the driver's license of every owner of the business who has more than 20% ownership. So if it's just you, obviously you'll just need your license. This was requested from me from the lawyer who completed this program for me. Like I said, I literally just submitted this morning, and these are all the items that they had me send over. You'll also need the social security number and the address, the home address of every single person who owns more than 20% of the business entity that you're applying for. And if you have more than one business entity with the same ownership, let's say you own 100% of 2 different businesses, you'll fill out one application and you'll have to submit the 941s for each business and the payroll summary for each business, but it will be considered one loan under the SBA. It's kind of up in the air on if you can apply for more than one business with different ownership. I would assume you can, like let's say you own 100% of one business and 50% of another. The assumption is that you can, but there hasn't been anything explicitly stating whether that's true or not. There is limited funds, so I could see it potentially go to where each owner of a business can only apply to one, but that's kind of up in the air. I mean, really a lot of these details are up in the air because everything is changing, and I'm just giving the best information that I can find on this in the most up-to-date manner. You'll also need your 2019 business tax return for the business that you're applying for. If you don't yet have that, I don't think that's going to cause too much of an issue if you have your 941 forms, because that's basically going to state the exact same information. And then you'll need the new SBA Form 2483. I'll link that below as well, so you can just go directly to it. And let's go over and fill this out exactly so you can see step by step how you need to answer these questions properly in order to get the funding as soon as possible. So it's going on to the application, and you can see what they fixed here is this top portion. I mentioned this in my other video that they didn't show all the different entity types. Now they're showing the different entity types. Personally, I own an LLC that's an S Corp. You'll put whatever one applies for you. If you're just in business for yourself, you're either going to be a sole proprietor or independent contractor. I'm not sure why they have two of those, because those are basically the same things. I'm an S Corp, like I said, so I check that. If you're just a regular LLC and not taxed as an S Corp, then you'll just do LLC. Let me uncheck that. DBA or trade name. You'll know if you have a DBA or trade name. That's basically if you have an LLC, but you do business under a different name and that is registered, then you put that there. I don't personally do that. Your business legal name. That's my business legal name. That's the name that you have registered with the state. If you own a sole proprietor or you're an independent contractor and you don't have an LLC or trade name, then you're just going to put your name in there. Your business address, that's pretty self-explanatory. Business TIN, EIN, or Social Security number. If you have an EIN number for your business, if you have payroll under an S Corp or an LLC, you're going to have an EIN number. If you're a sole proprietor, then you're just going to use your Social Security number here. Business phone number, primary contact, that's your name. Primary email address, that's your email address. Here is the really important part, average monthly payroll. So you'll take that payroll summary, the entire year summary of yours, and get the gross payroll amount. So the total payroll amount, let's say it was $150,000. And then you'll divide that by 12, $12,500, and you put that in here, 12,500. Then you take that number, multiply it by 2.5, 31,250, and put that in here. And this is another change that they added here. They're saying if you received the EIDL, you have to deduct that from this amount. No one has received it yet as of 4/3, but as of the time of watching this video, maybe you have. So if you have received this, then you need to deduct the amount that you received from the EIDL loan. So if it's $10,000, then you would just put $21,250 here. The reason being, you can't have both loans applying for the same thing. In my case, I haven't received this yet, but I have applied, so I would put in the total amount. Number of employees, they changed this, luckily, instead of number of jobs, because no one understood what that meant. Number of employees is the total number of people on payroll. This does not count contractors. That was another update. They confirmed that contractors do not count on this form. It's only employees. And if you're an LLC, but not an S Corp, unfortunately, you don't count as an employee yourself if you're the owner. You have to be an S Corp to be counted as your employee of the business. So let's just say 5 there. What is the purpose of this loan? We're going to say payroll, mortgage, interest, and lease payments, and utilities. If there's other, you can fill that in. That's pretty self-explanatory. Applicant ownership, you're going to put whoever the owner is here, what their title is, if they're owner, manager, whatever you need there, percentage of ownership, that owner's Social Security number, and that owner's address. You'll do that for everyone who owns more than 20% of the business. Now they changed some of the questions here. So, is any applicant or owner of the business currently debarred or ineligible to participate in a transaction by the federal government? No. Has the applicant, any owner of the business, owned or obtained a SBA loan that has defaulted in the last 7 years? No. Is the applicant or any owner of the applicant an owner of any other business or may have common management with any other business? If yes, list all such businesses and describe the relationship on a separate sheet. So this is if you own a separate business that also applied for this. Most of you, it's going to be no. Has the applicant received an SBA economic injury disaster loan between January 31st and April 3rd? Everyone's going to be no, because no one has received that yet, despite them saying it'd only be 3 days. All right, here's some more questions. Is the applicant or any individual owning 20% or more of the entity subject to an indictment, criminal information, arraignment, other means? No. You initial there. Within the last 5 years, has the applicant or any owner been convicted, pleaded guilty, blah, 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 blah. For most of you, it's going to be no. Is the United States the principal place of residence for all the employees? Yes. And this is another stipulation I saw. If you have any employees who live outside the United States, their payroll will not count towards the total loan amount. Is the applicant a franchise that's listed in the SBA's franchise directory? Most of you will be no. If you are, you'll know. All right, these are all, you're just going to be initialed. You're acknowledging that all this information is true. You're acknowledging that you're going to be able to provide information, supporting documents on what your expenses are. They're pretty self-explanatory. Then you're going to have to print this off, sign it, date it, print your name, and your title. Again, that's owner, manager, whatever your title of the business is. And then you need to take all this information and you need to submit it to an SBA lender. You can either go to the SBA website and search local lenders, or you can ask your CPA if they know of a lender. I know some CPAs can actually submit this for you. Some lawyers can submit this. So do this as soon as possible. Find an SBA lender. Many banks can do this as well. What I've seen a lot of is, unless you have an account with the bank, they're saying they can't do it. This is not true, but it might be kind of hard because so many people are trying to apply for this right now. But find someone locally who can do this. I'd say the smaller, the better, because there's gonna be less people bombarding them with all this information. Everyone is trying to get this loan right now. There's literally millions of businesses that are trying to do it immediately. And then make sure you have all this information readily available for when they call you. You can answer the question, make it as easy as possible for them to give you this loan. Be overly prepared. So they're like, oh wow, this is gonna be easy. They don't have to follow up a million times in order to get all your information back and forth. So have this all ready, make it easy for them. Think about what they're having to deal with. They're probably getting hundreds of calls today and the next day and next week on how to apply and what forms of information are needed. So make their lives easy. Just get this done as soon as possible because there's limited amount of money available for this loan program. And if you have any questions on how to apply, if I didn't cover something specifically, feel free to drop a question in the comments below. And I'm trying to respond to every single one as soon as I can. And until next time, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe if you want more updates on this, and I hope you have a profitable day.